I'm Arne. I work at Naughty Dog. I'm their community strategist. I've been there for 7 years now. So I started just before Uncharted 2 was announced. So it's been my entire time at Naughty Dog has really been working on the Uncharted series, which I really loved when I came to join the company. Because at the time there really wasn't any other games that were this really sort of fun adventure puzzle, sort of seeking. So it's very much about high adventure, this playable action blockbuster movie sort of feel to it. You've got a great lead character with Nathan Drake, who's always making jokes, and he's sort of managing to survive these crazy situations that he puts himself in. And he's really driven by trying to find treasure and sort of the thrill of the chase. It's not even the money or the fame that he gets, but really just the aspect, the adventure it takes him on is what really is appealing to him. I think that the collection coming out right now is actually really great because, as you're saying, there might be an audience that has never played the Uncharted games before, and we found actually that there's a great group of people who've now onto PS4 who did not have a PlayStation before, so they were not able to experience the Uncharted games. So it's a really great introduction to lead into 4. We've always tried to make our games so that each game is a standalone story. They don't really all lead together, but you always learn a lot more. You're able to get deeper understanding of all the characters and their motivations, and really started to come to identify or really love the characters a little bit more. So being able to play all 3 games and see sort of Nathan Drake's evolution at that time, and sort of how he started as this happy-go-lucky adventurer, sort of gone into darker times and found love and everything. That entire part is a really great introduction to Uncharted 4. So I think the timing for both games is working out really well. So one of the things that was really great for us is we wanted to go beyond just remastering the 3 games for the Uncharted trilogy. We found a really great development partner, Bluepoint, which is this studio in Austin, Texas. And they've done the Metal Gear HD collection. They did the God of War collection and the Shadow, the Colossus and Eco collection. So they really know what they're doing, and we sat down with them. They're a great partner because not only did we do what you would expect from a collection, where you're taking the Uncharted games that were always running at 720 hertz or 720p and at 30 frames per second, and taking it to the next level. So we set a development goal, and we wanted to say, okay, let's take this to 1080p. Let's get a smooth, consistent frame rate, and try to hit 60 as consistently as possible. So you're getting really good technological gameplay experience. I was like, what could we do that goes beyond that? And we were taking things like, let's make sure that the character model was the highest fidelity possible. So we're using the cinematic character models as the in-game character models, where at the time those were 2 separate things, because we could have higher resolution models, better shaders, better textures in the cinematics. So we brought those in and are using those in the gameplay. We're actually using the hair shaders for Uncharted 3 all the way back into Uncharted 1 because those were sort of the best example of our technology at the time. Bluepoint was able to do a completely new lighting engine. They added ambient occlusion to Uncharted Drake's Fortune, which it didn't exist, and improved how that looked like for Uncharted 2 and 3. So the lighting for the games and everything, it really feels PS4 level. Where if you go back and you play the PS3 versions, you can see how we've iterated and evolved over time. Now all of the games feel and look consistent. I think one of the things that we're most proud of is how we're able to do this gameplay unification. How if you play all 3 games, you can see that we learned how to make the games better and how to make the shooting mechanics feel more satisfying from one game to the next. And you'll see, if you play all 3 games in the PS3 version, you'll see an evolution of that. Uncharted 1 is maybe our roughest because it was our first foray into that. Uncharted 2 was really great, and so was Uncharted 3. So what Bluepoint did, and we talked about this quite a bit, is we were able to take the shooting mechanics from Uncharted 2, which everyone feels is the most satisfying, and apply them to all 3 games. So as you play through Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3, you're not having to relearn, you're not having to feel differences in how you do the gameplay, the shooting mechanics. It's going to feel consistent across the same. And that was really, at the end of the day, that was really the goal for development, is how can we make all 3 games visually and gameplay-wise feel consistent so it feels like one complete package for you. Yeah, no, I really think that was probably one of the best ideas that could come out of it. And we're really impressed that Bluepoint could pull that off in the amount of development time. It didn't add any development time to the original schedule to do all of these things. Basically what we did is we talked with them, and they had their own thoughts about, because they've played all 3 games before they took on the project. They really love the Uncharted series, so they had their own thoughts of how they could do some unification for the gameplay and how they could make some improvements. We had collected all of the feedback from people inside the studio. You know, once we're done with the games, everyone looks back and go, oh, we could have done that better. So we compiled all of that feedback. We looked at the feedback from our community, and we had these huge emails, basically of like all these things that, you know, either people liked, some criticism, things that people really hated, and we're like, okay, let's go through it. What can we address? You know, what can't we address? And sort of come up with this good sort of feature list of what we wanted to do. One of the things I mentioned earlier was the environment lighting. That was one of the things that Bluepoint created a brand new lighting model just so that it felt consistent throughout all of the games, and adding in ambient occlusion in the shadows. They actually reworked the entire water rendering system. So at the beginning, when we were looking at early builds of all 3 games, there was no water there. So it was basically like everything was floating in the air anytime there's a water sequence. So they brought in a new water rendering technology for all 3 games. So it not only looks consistent, but it's actually even improved from what you would see in the PS3 versions of the Uncharted games. So that's some of the few things. I mean, we've introduced some new modes as well. There's a mode that's more difficult than crushing even for experienced Uncharted players. And we've done a mode too for people who are more interested in experiencing the story, and so it's a lot more forgiving in combat. And those things are applied between all 3 games as well, so that the difficulty feels consistent across all 3 games. You're not seeing different difficulties based on the games.